Igbo is one of the most unique languages across generations.
French or English?
French.
What?
What's the better language?
English.
French.
French or Spanish?
Spanish, 100%.
This guy met one Latina, now he thinks he knows Spanish.
Rico, papa.
Spanish or Igbo?
Igbo.
For sure?
Igbo is one of the most unique languages across generations.
Igbo or Arabic?
We're gonna go Igbo.
Igbo or Russian?
The thing about Igbo is like, it sounds like a song. It sounds like music. Even for those that don't know.
Igbo or Afrikaans?
Oh, that's the Dutch dialect?
Yeah, in South Africa.
Igbo.
Igbo or Hindi?
Shout out to all my Indians speaking Hindi right now. Okay? Right now. Keep doing that. Keep spreading that word. Igbo is the best language in the world, though.
Lock it in. Igbo.
Auru em ginyanya.
Out of all the languages in the world, a foreigner chose Igbo. Let that sink. Not Spanish, not Arabic, not even Hindi. They chose Igbo language. Why? Because Igbo is not just words, it's expression, the tone, the rhythm, it sounds like music. The proverbs, they carry wisdom deeper than translation. And the way it's spoken, you don't just hear it, you feel it. When someone from outside your culture chooses your language, that means something special, something powerful, something worth learning. Igbo is not just a language in the Bani, it's a heritage, and the world is starting to notice it. Igbo kwenu, Igbo kwenu.
To be honest, when I first saw that video, I thought it's AI. I'm still having some doubts whether it's AI or not, but looking at it closely and looking at the video, everything, I discovered that that video is not AI. It's not AI, and I never imagined that Igbo language is, versatile like that. We are educating ourselves, and if you know more about this video, please let us know, because that video, in fact, the thing is mind-blowing to the extent that the Nigerian flag, Igbo language was used in Nigerian flag. Why they don't mention another Nigerian language except Igbo? Let's have some investigation about that video. But if you tell me, I will tell you that that video is real, and the Igbo language is very popular among the whole world. So nobody should tell me that my language is difficult. Igbo language is not difficult at all. And the unfortunate part of it is that some of our Igbo people believed that narrative, false narrative. For what? Okay, let's assume that, or the way it is in Nigeria or any other place in the whole world, Igbos, they like doing business, they like moving out, traveling all over the world. So they like doing these things. Their own advantage is to learn quickly, to learn languages, learn quickly what the people are doing, for them to be fast in doing their business. It's not like all the other Nigerians, like the Hausas or Yorubas, that usually, once you come to their place, they want to force you to learn Yoruba language. By the way, in fact, you never hear English from their mouth. Whether it's illiteracy or not, but they prefer speaking their language. Even most of them that are educated, they prefer speaking their Yoruba language. So if you are a foreigner in that midst, you see how it is. But Igbo man, even if you come to the East, if they discover that you're a stranger, they will quickly switch to English, the language you understand. But other Nigerians, Yoruba, Hausa don't do like that. They will be speaking their language to you intentionally, and you'll be forced to learn the language. That is the only thing I know about Igbo. So, but if Igbo people decide to travel out with their language, anybody that needs them, they will be speaking their language to them. Igbo language would have gone very, very, very far, more than every other language in Nigeria. But me, anyway, I am sure of what I'm saying. So that is the only thing that I know about this Igbo language that people are trying to misunderstand, and some people believe their narratives that Igbo language is torturous. It didn't put people for trouble. So we are saying torturous. That the man saying torturous. You know, trying to make things, you know, that's his way. He usually like to blow grammar. All right, so let's have a view of this particular video. That thing you are about to hear is real. Someone has already told me, somebody from that, you know, a car, that Abo Axis. Somebody told me that that is what they were told. But this particular guy is from Edo State, that their parents told them some of these things that this guy is going to say in this video. Let's watch.
Lies what our parents tell us about Igbo when we they grow they come. Yes, listen carefully. Lies what our parents tell us to paint Igbo bad when we they grow they come. Number one, our parents tell us say Igbo they eat person. That's a big lie. It was a propaganda. Now lie just to make the world see Igbo as bad people. And na truth. Nigeria people na carry that propaganda against Igbo. So when they grow they come they tell us all those things that time say that they eat people for East. That one a big lie. Another lie, number two, say Igbo they do money ritual. They can't even make us believe say through Nollywood. Because all Nollywood, now so Igbo people they do ritual. So they can't make they can't tell us say na Igbo people they do ritual for Nigeria. That one a big lie. If you do research, no say for Nigeria, the people where they're into ritualist, now Yoruba people. Let's call this spade. Let's tell ourselves the truth. But I don't know, and Nigeria if they paint that lie, they can't lie for Igbo head. Our parents can't they tell us the lie that time. Number three lie, say Abba made. And say Igbo they wear Abba. Say Abba made, now Igbo they wear. Let's tell ourselves the truth. If not be Abba made, where Igbo people they produce for Nigeria, many Nigerians for not they feel they wear clothes. Everything in Nigeria, half of everything are Abba made. But those days they make us see as Abba made, say Abba made not good though, Abba made not bad thing no.
You see, all these things are tribal hatred against the Igbos. And in return, Igbos don't care. All we know is to struggle for our life and make our lives better. That is the basics of, you know, an Igbo man's living. Igbo man no there for too much church. No. He's there to fend for himself and fight for his own. You know, that's why it is not easy to coerce Igbos into something that doesn't have good explanation. Just like the Hausas or other tribes, once they say, hey, let's go, hey. Man, Igbos, if you come to East, you say, oh yeah, let's go. Nobody go answer you. The next thing you go here, waiting that person do now. Waiting that person do now. If you say, oh yeah, let's go now, which kind of, you say, why they force me like this now? They give me food. Are you feeding me? Why you go force me? That is a Igbo one for you.
What do you have to say about the Igbo tribe?
The Igbo tribe.
That's the Igbo people.
Well, I think the Igbo people, they are very nice people, hustlers. They are mostly all around the country. You can find them anywhere and they can survive anywhere. And I know their women can cook good food. I can say something about that. They can cook good food. And I think that almost sums about everything I think I know about them. Because I just know that they are very good hustlers and can survive everywhere in the world.
If you don't speak for the dead, who will? You are of the Igbo tribe, Bennett. When you have truth, the thing you are told you cannot do is the thing you must do. Embrace that. And nothing created by man can bring you down.
Well, more updates are coming concerning some tribal, you know, tribalistic people. Somebody said that if you go to Yoruba church, you see many Igbo people who populate that place. But if you come to a church owned by Igbo people, hardly you see Yoruba people, because I'm not talking about houses, because they are majorly Muslims. So, but follow me talk now. Is it true? Somebody said it, but let's watch first.
No Yoruba man comes to Igbo man church. No Yoruba. I've never seen Yoruba people for Igbo man church. What brings the Yoruba people into Igbo man's church? Maybe in a contract or something. But you go see Igbo people full everywhere for Yoruba people church. I'm saying it. No, this is not because I hate the Yorubas. I'm saying it because this is what I am seeing now. Even the Yoruba people listening to me now should say the truth. How many Igbo man church have they gone to? You don't see it. You don't see. See, go on Sunday. Go on this coming Sunday. Go to church. I think tomorrow na service. Go to church and go and make a careful finding. And search if you will see a Yoruba man in any of the Igbo man church right there in Lagos. It will be rare. Even when they are there for something. I wouldn't have they try to talk.
All right, so let's shift it a little bit. You see all these things that is happening now, insecurity and the rest. Is there not what Nnamdi Kanu said before? He said all these things. And I came across a clip that is talking about the compilation of his prophecies, that almost all of them has happened. I'm going to show you that, you know, the person is from Israeli, you know, extract, and you know, you can say what you want to say in that regard, or you can even tell us what Nnamdi Kanu has said that has come to pass. Well, I don't think, you know, many Igbos will be joking with Nnamdi Kanu because what he has said have come to pass, you know. So why don't...
Igbos, I am back again, this time with something big and powerful. I think every Igbo person and lovers of Igbo tribe will love this. This is for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's fans. Do you still remember those prophecies and predictions of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? I have a compilation of all of them. The interesting part of it is that I have 46 of those prophecies and predictions. Out of 46 of them, 42 have happened. That means that 42 prophecies have been fulfilled. 42 predictions have happened. It remains only 4. But I need your assistance. Drop the one you know in the comment section. I will add it if I don't have it yet. Let's keep pushing the Igbo story. I know we will get there. Igbo story is gradually gaining attention here in Israel. As for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I can only describe him with one word, the great prophet of our time. Only God knows how he got the knowledge of what will happen 10 years ahead before it start to happen. Like I said before, help me drop some of those prophecies and predictions so that I can add to what I have. I feel we should make it 50, which is a round number. The book will be free of charge whenever we are ready. Check this page by next week for the publication. Hopefully, we shall have 50 of them by then. Thank you for your time. See you again soon. Till then, bye.
Sorry, I didn't tell you my name. I am Rabbi Snyder, your Israeli friend.
Yes, I will never stop, you know, promoting my tribe, which is Igbo tribe, no doubt about that, and spoiling those narratives that, you know, envious and jealous people put online against the Igbos. Igbos are usually after, you know, their own activities, their businesses and the rest, but now the narratives are changing. We try to create time to respond to some of these things. Some of these wrong narratives by some other parts of Nigeria, thinking that it has been business as usual. Well, it's about the connection and the, you know, the religion, the native Igbo people that are living in Ife, Ile-Ife. There are traces of it. There are, you know, knowledge about all these things. It's not stories. These are facts and the truth about that situation, and it has been confirmed. Well, if you are interested, let's have a view of this documentary that talk about that. You know, it's about our origin. It's not about any other person's origin. It's about Igbo. So we'll continue to broadcast it and talk about it. Let the whole world hear. And then if you want to debunk, you can debunk that responsibly. That will not be my business. When we come back, oh, get waiting, we don't they hear, oh, now, wow. Before, people been there talking for back, but now, it don't come out fully about what happened recently in Nigeria.
Archaeological discoveries have revealed that even before the arrival of Oduduwa, the legendary founder of Yoruba race, there were communities that had flourished. And many of these communities were Igbo communities. Igbo people are historically associated with massive movement from the Igbo homeland to neighboring areas. The destination of the Igbo people, or the destinations, have been northern Nigeria across River Benue. That's why I have Igbo communities in Kogi and in Benue State and some part of Plateau. Apart from movement to northern Nigeria across Benue, the major destination of early Igbo migrants were Benin land and Yoruba land. People talk more of Igbo migration to Benin. Most people don't know that that migration went beyond Benin to Yoruba land. We talk about how the Igbo were predominant in part of Yoruba land until, the legendary Queen Moremi delivered his people by trick and so on. Then on Benin proper, it's always said that those West Niger Igbo communities from between Benin and River Niger were Benin settlers or migrants from Benin. The truth is that early in their history, because of the fact that they didn't have enough land and they have rapid population growth in Igbo land, they could not move into the Atlantic to stay. And because central Nigeria had empires like Igala Kingdom that could, obstruct movement of Igbo into Ikala land, the only outlet for the Igbo people was Benin land. So majority of them moved there and settled there, became prominent. Some became chiefs, recognized by the Benin monarchy. But because of their audaciousness and the aggressive nature of the Igbo, ready to take advantage of situations, enterprising too, they ran into conflict with the ruling class. And so, over time, starting from the 16th century, they began to return to Igbo land. Not all of them crossed the river Niger back to their original source. Only Onitsha was founded by such returnees. Majority of the returnees established communities between Abudu and Asaba. These were not Benin people. So those who say that West Niger Igbo people were Benin people simply because they came from Benin, they don't have the full historical knowledge. They were founded by Benin settlers, Igbo settlers in Benin. They were returnees, what professional historians call reverse migrations. So that is it. Though when they settled in these communities, Oboloko, Iseluku, Iselenkpiti, Iselazaba, and the rest of them, and Abo, what migrants came from Igbo land proper and joined them. Then people came from Igala to join the teeming population. So what I'm trying to say is that it is wrong to say that West Niger Igbo communities were Benin people or are Benin people. Some of them are Benin because when the Igbo were returning, it's not as if they did not return with Benin people. Some have Benin husbands and wives. So no community in West Niger Igbo is ethnologically or ethnically homogeneous, because every community is actually founded by the first set of arrivals and later swept up by later waves of migrants. That has been the experience of West Niger Igbo area. So the Igbo people who are in West Niger Igbo land claiming they are not Igbo people, they don't know their history, and the Civil War has contributed to that. After the war, there was stigma attached to being an Igbo person. and there was persecution of the Igbo, which has continued. So people, because they want to be secure, to have security in Nigeria, they begin to drop the Igbo name, as has happened in Rivers State. They begin to claim that they're Bini or Igala, whereas they are Igbo people, right from creation.
The man talking in that video is called Professor Nkem Onyekwe. He is from Ikaland in Anyoma Land, Delta State. He is a professor of history in the University of Lagos State. He said that Ndibo moved far and wide, and that migration went deep into Yoruba and Bini land. He said that Ndibo were predominantly in Yoruba land before Moremi destroyed everything. The Oni of Ife said that Ndibo from the southeast are part of Ile-Ife. He said that before Oduduwa came, that Ndibo have been living in Ile-Ife. Archaeological evidences backed it up. Igbo bronze work, spirituality, and arts are still in Ile-Ife. The Oni of Ife said that if you come to Ile-Ife, he will show you the place that Ndibo settled in Ile-Ife. He will show you the shrine of Ndibo in Ile-Ife. This is coming from the Oni of Ife himself. Those people in Ile-Ife are called Igbo. The same meaning of Igbo in Yoruba is the same meaning of Igbo in Igbo language. In Igbo language, Igbo means ancient. Igbo also means forest, bush in some Igbo dialects. Igbo also means to protect. Igbo in Yoruba land means forest. And if you check in the history of Nigeria, the oldest community with that name Igbo is Igbo-Ukwu. Igbo-Ukwu ancient community in Anambra State is older than every Yoruba community that is called Igbo. Communities like Ijebu-Igbo, Igbo-Ora, all in Yoruba land. Igbo-Ukwu here in Igbo land is older than them all. The people in Ile-Ife called Igbo are being headed by a man called Obatala. The Oni of Ife said that Obatala is an Igbo man. Obatala's title is Obatala Osere Igbo. That title is an Igbo title. So, Moremi betrayed Obatala and his people, which gave Oduduwa the power to conquer Ile-Ife. And that was the reason why Obatala's people left Ile-Ife. Some Yoruba people in Ile-Ife said that they are related to Ndibo in the southeast. Those Yoruba people in Ile-Ife are children of Obatala. White archaeologists went to Ile-Ife and they did research there. And after that, they said that Ile-Ife was occupied by Ndibo some time ago. They showed artworks, spiritual items, bronze works, and they said that those bronze works in Ile-Ife traced their ancestry to Igbo-Ukwu and Nri in Anambra State. Look at it here. Now Igbo write this thing. This is what the white archaeologists said when they visited Ile-Ife. Top left, Ife, shrine of Osagangan Obamakin, with terracotta head showing vertical line facial marks. Photograph, Phillips Stevens, Jr. Top right, Ife, head with vertical line facial marks, terracotta, Osagangan Obamakin shrine, said to represent Osagangan Obamakin. Bottom left, Ife, figures in Obatala temple. Stone left, Oduduwa figure with plain face. Right, Obatala figure with Igbo, Nri, style marks. 18th to 19th century CE. Photograph by Phillips Stevens, Jr. Bottom right, Ife, Janus staff mount. face with Igbo Nri style marks. These ones na wetin Oyibo man write after they go Ile-Ife, go do research. He said that the facial marks in the bronze head of Obatala is showing Nri style of tribal marks. Look at what the white people said here. They said local Igbo populations that were at times in conflict with other Ife residents. Scientific evidence identifies some early Ife glass forms with a group of Igbo beads, the latter coming from the 900 to 100 CE Igbo site of Igbo Ukwu. Garlic also notes visual complementarities between ancient ritual vessels found in Ife at the site of Obalara's land and works from Igbo Ukwu. Igbo Ukwu in Anambra State. One of the most interesting of the ancient Ife artworks from the vantage of Ife history and the role of the Igbo here is a Janus figure, showing on one side of a man with diagonal Igbo Nri facial markings, vomiting a stone ass, a celt symbolizing the thunder god Sango in latter areas. Based on these figures' unusual diagonal Igbo Nri style facial markings, the work suggests that regional priestly elites may have once held certain functions in early Ife religion. These priests likely were associated in part with members of this center's autochthonous Igbo population. Suggested by this work too is the likelihood that a group of Nri priests with ties to the Niger-Benue confluence area, as was also the case for Igbo Nri elites, held broadly regional sway over ritual issues, including perhaps aspects of rulership authority as well as trade. Listen to what they said here. They said, today in Ife, one can meet individuals such as Owajan in the Inwirin family compound who insist that their lineage is both historic to Ife and identified with Igbo populations in places such as Onitsha in southeastern area of Nigeria. This is a fact that Yoruba historians are hiding. When we Igbo say that Ndi Igbo are indigenous in Ile-Ife, we are right. All those Yoruba communities that have Igbo in their name, such as Ijebu Igbo, Igbo Ora, those people trace their ancestors to Ndi Igbo that were in Ile-Ife those days. The Oni of Ife said that Obatala is an Igbo man. But some Yoruba kings and some Yoruba people were angry, saying that the Oni of Ife should stop saying such a thing. The Oni of Ife is right. Yoruba people will be telling you the Igbo in Ile-Ife are not Igbo people in the southeast. That the Igbo in Ile-Ife is different from the one in the southeast is a lie. Archaeological evidence will always bring out facts. Archaeology, they talk say the artworks in Ile-Ife that they discovered is pointing to Nri and Igbo Ukwu. And those ancestors who come from Nri and Igbo Ukwu, they settled in Ile-Ife and they gave birth to those Yoruba people that Igbo is in their name today. Look at what that man told the white people. He said that they are partly related to Ife and Ndi Igbo in the southeast. Professor Nkem Onyekwe said that in those days in Benin Kingdom, that some Igbo people were chiefs in the Oba of Benin Palace, which is a fact. According to Benin history, some people were chiefs in the palace of the Oba of Benin. Igbo people were chiefs in the palace of the Oba of Benin. For example, Eze Chime and his friend Anaba were chiefs in the palace of the Oba of Benin in those days. So, when Eze Chime had an issue with the Oba of Benin, he ran away from Benin Kingdom for safety because he knew that the Oba of Benin will kill him. And on his way coming back So many Ezechime people, which are Igbo people that were living in Benin with Ezechime, some of them got tired and they settled in Abo. Some of them settled in Umunede. Before Ezechime now finally settled in Obio community. From there, some people from Obio settled in Ibodo. From there, some of them went ahead and settled in Onichubo. From Onichubo, Iseluku, Onichoko, Onicholona, Ezi, Iselempitime, Onicha in Anambra State, and so on. Some of them settled in Onichokwane, in Ukwane land. These people are Igbo returnees. They are not Bini people. But some people in all these places will tell you that they are not Igbo people, that they are Bini people, that their ancestor, Ezechime, is a Bini man. Ezechime is not a Bini man, but an Igbo man. He is a chief in Benin Kingdom. How Oba of Benin Pikin go be chief for in Papa Palace? It's not possible. The son of the Oba of Benin can never be a chief in the palace of his father. Ezechime is from Uri and Oka area in Anambra State. He sojourned to Benin Kingdom. He is not a Benin man. So many other people in animal land that are claiming that they are Benin people. All those people are not Benin people. Obuluku, for example, is not of Benin origin. Ezemu is an Igbo name. The major people that bear Ezemu as name are Ukwane people. If you come Ukwane land today, you go see so many people there. They call them Ezemu. Now their name be that. Obuluku people call the name as Ezemu. But we Ukwane people, we call that name as Ezemu. So, Anyama land is majorly of Igbo origin. Anybody from Anyama land where they claim say he come from Igala. Some of them are Igbo returnees from Igala. So, those also they don't say they be Igala people, say na out of Igala born them, this, that. All those ones come join we Anyama people. That does not make Anyama land Igala land. Those ones from Anyama land where they don't say na Oba of Bini born them, say they come from Bini. That does not make Anyama land Bini land. Anyama land is Igbo land. And there's nothing anyone can do about it. Professor Onyekwe said that the Biafra war stigmatized Anyama people. And because of that, they started saying that they are not Igbo people. During the Biafra war, Anyama people started telling their children to be saying that they are not Igbo people, that they are Bini people. To be saying that they are not Igbo people, that they are Igala people. To be saying that they are not Igbo people. They told their children to deny their Igbo identity, to stay alive. And after the Biafra war, Igbo are being marginalized by the federal government of Nigeria. So, in order not to be experiencing that marginalization, Anyama people kept telling their children that they are not Igbo people. That is the identity crisis that we are battling in Anyama land today. You go see person for Iseluku, you go tell you say not be Igbo. You go see somebody from Onichokwane, you go tell you say not be Igbo. You go see somebody from Ogume, go tell you say he not be Igbo. Our ancestors in Ogume, all of them are bearing Igbo names. None of them they bear Bini name. But today, Ogume people go tell you say they be Bini people, they be Bini people. My own ancestor in Ogume is called Chime. He is the founder of Omuchime village in Ogume. So, our founder, named Nachime, he run come out from Bini. Is he a Bini man? No. For Igbo land, we don't have Yariba deities here. In Anyama land, we don't have Yariba deities here. This is to show that those Igbo people that came back from Ile-Ife and Bini are Igbo people and not Yariba and Bini people. Archaeological evidence just proved how Igbo occupied Ile-Ife and Bini land. Even before Bini people came from Ile-Ife and conquered that Idu land, Igbo are indigenous there. The population of Anyama people will show you that Anyama people are indigenous in Idu land. See as we plenty way wrong come out from that place. That is to tell you that these people, now them get that place. So, those Anyama people that are saying that they are not Igbo people, you people should stop deceiving yourselves. Just like Professor Onyekwe said, he said that those Anyama people that are saying that they are not Igbo people, that they are Bini people, that they don't know their history. And he is right. If you be from Omuchime, from Ogume, You they talk say Umuchime na Bini. The founder of Umuchime called Chime is a Bini man. You don't know your history. If you be descendant of Ezemu, you they talk say Ezemu na Bini person. You don't know your history. If you be descendant of Anaba, you they talk say you not be Igbo person. Say Anaba your papa na Bini person. You don't know your history. The founder of Abo is called Ogele. He is the first king of Abo. His title when he became the king of Abo is Eze Abo. Eze. That is Igbo language. So Abo is of Igbo origin. Those set of Abo people who hold ground, they thought say they come from Benin. All those ones are people who come join Abo. Just like Professor Nkem said, as we settle for this place, some people from different places start to rejoin us. That does not make Anyoma land Igala land. That does not make Anyoma land Bini land, but Igbo land. People go come join you. As Yoruba people dey now, some people from Nupe come join them. That does not make Yoruba land Nupe land. As Yoruba land dey now, Fulani people come join them. That does not make Yoruba land Fulani land. So that is the same it is everywhere in the world. People will surely come join you. Now don't set of people that say Abo is not Igbo, Abo is Bini. So as Abo community dey now, descendant of Eze Chime full there. Same with Umunede community, Eze Chime people full there. Anyoma is Igbo land and territory. This is why it's expected of we Anyoma people to support Anyoma state creation and the southeast zoning. Make we Anyoma people coexist with our brothers in the southeast. We are one people. Stop allowing propaganda, false history and information to separate we Anyoma people from our brothers in the southeast. Igbo bofu, Ishiawale.
Yes, having watched that coming from Spirit Almighty, that's his name. Well, we are going to watch this particular video from Marcel called Cha. You know, these are the things that we are saying. They have positioned their people in the strategic government, you know, authorities. So if you say that you are going to complain or anything you want to do against them, they are already, are they the ones you are going to bring their matter to? Okay, bring matter now, bring matter come. They will handle it. Eh? How is that possible? Though we have been hearing this thing, you know, the people on ground have been testifying, like the one that happened that time in Jos. The youth leader said that this is what happened, that the military were shading them. But now, listen by yourself, just listen.
Just my people, as the hot, it don't happen, no. Or more things they happen under this Tinubu government, so just watch, you not be like Nigeria from my mouth. For the be saying you can't be the next person that I'm missing on.
Then the one that happened yesterday that brought the greatest challenge that we are facing now is the one that the Fulanis came again. This one, they didn't come to kill anybody, but they came for the community. And the boys were trying to repel them. Then that was where the army now came and took over the fight. They escorted them and came back to face our youths.
This is the late evening of Saturday, 2nd day of May 2026. Listen, ever since that American humanitarian called Alex Barbier, ever since he left Nigeria back to the United States, the whole killing that has been going on in these areas, the federal government of Nigeria have been succeeding in silencing them, suppressing these, killings going on. Now, I was listening to the chairman of Christian Association of Nigeria in Sabo, Guinea. So, he was talking about his experience, not what they told him. He talked about how the Fulani terrorists came to kill his people. Some were dead, some survived. And after that, the following day, attack happened. And the reason why he's not speaking for it, because the villagers wanted to, challenge the terrorists. They wanted to fight the terrorists and win the terrorists. You know what happened? Military came from nowhere. Nigerian soldiers came from nowhere. Nigerian soldiers escorted, now prevented the attack, escorted the terrorists out. After escorting the terrorists out, Nigerian soldiers came back and started firing the villagers. Like, This thing will sound like, no, how can this such a thing happen? But unfortunately, this is what is going on in Nigeria. This is what is going on in Nigeria. I want you to pay attention to this video. And after the video, I'm going to tell you how all this terrorism, what is going on in Nigeria, is connected to political instability you people have today. And that is why I am telling you, when you fail to understand the problem of Nigeria, everything you are doing is just nonsense, because you are doing something that is not going to yield any result. You are doing something that is not going to bring any solution. So pay attention to this video. I'll be right back.
Bongari, and also the current chairman of Sabongari Yilpo community in Halemongo local government. I am standing here to really testify about what happened, because I am not just giving story of what I was told, but I'm giving story of what happened in my presence. What really happened here is 3 days ago, we had a special attack that came specially from the Fulani terrorists. They gang against our boys that were coming from Chinmai, and they killed some, and some were alive. So after that, definitely you don't expect us to just fold our hands and watch what was happening. So our youths tried to react to that situation. That was when now the soldiers came, that very day. So they covered them and they stopped the fight. Of course, that was their responsibility. Then the one that happened yesterday that brought the greatest challenge that we are facing now is the one that the Fulanis came again. This one, they didn't come to kill anybody, but they came for the community. And the boys were trying to repel them. Then that was where the army now came and took over the fight. They escorted them and came back to face our youths. And at the cost of that, that was what brought the casualties we're having. We have more than 10 people that were shot. I have some that are in the hospital in Jos, some are in the hospital at Mongu, and this one that you see here is the one that has already died. And we are receiving report that even one has already died already. That is in Yilpo community only. So now, what we are trying to say is we want the world to know what is happening with us. The time for us to be quiet is over. We have to speak so that the world will know that this is what we are facing. Now, where is the presence of the state government? Where is the presence of the federal government? The attack that took place yesterday took more than 7 hours under heavy gunshot. And I wonder, how can the army come with an armored car striking on the civilians? For what? Killing people, destroying houses, climbing people's houses with the armored car. Now, if I take you, I can go and show you where the houses they smash with their armored car. On what basis? Now, if it is a war, you come to settle a cause. You have to defend the peace of all the communities. You cannot take sides with one community against the other. So we felt here that we are intimidated, and the government has not come to our aid up to now. As we are talking, this man innocently was not even in the course of what was happening. He was just coming from the front. He was just on the road that he was attacked and killed. So now, what is our fate? Where is our fate as a community? Are we not citizens of Nigeria? Are we not citizens of Nigeria that somebody will come and intimidate our lives and kill us and go free? So we are crying to the government. If it should be a government, the government should take its responsibility of taking care of the people, because the greatest role of the security of the people, the government, is to bring security to the people. Now, let me tell you, all of us, both us, our wives and our children, all of us are insecure. Even this morning we were intimidated. We never knew that we were going to even bury this body. So we are pleading for the governor to come into this situation. We are pleading for the president to see. We are going to send this, let the whole world know what is happening with us. Because when our father, Reverend Dachoma, was talking about genocide, people are saying that he is lying. No, this is life. This is life. This is clear genocide. And we are saying that if nothing is done, we can't hesitate. We can't hesitate, because our life is valuable to us as anybody's life is valuable to him. And we want to thank our youths. I always praise them, because if not because of these young people, all of us will not be standing here. These cups would have been laid. Even these cups yesterday, for us to carry it in the night, it was not a small job. How can you kill somebody and expect the person to rot in the village? What kind of intimidation is that? So we pray that God will help us and give us peace in Nigeria.
All right, if you are not, or you have not been studying insecurity in Nigeria, all these things will sound like, a movie play to you. It will sound like, no, this thing, it cannot be true. It will sound so untrue to you. But right from 2012, we have been in this thing. We know their modus operandi. We understand everything they are doing. T.Y. Danjuma went to give a briefing in London where he lectured the people that the Nigerian military and police are colluding with armed bandits to conquer the people. And that is exactly what we are seeing today. This is the Nigerian soldiers. The Nigerian soldiers who are taking order from, nowhere, doing what they are doing. So let me tell you how they are connected to political instability. After listening to this video, if you want to stop following me, stop following me. But I want you to do me a favor and save the video, because you will need this video in the future. You will need the truth in the future. Now, you see, there are some reasons why the cabal in Nigeria, the powers that be, don't want some persons to become the president of Nigeria, especially people from the southeastern extraction. I understand the documented dogma they have among this cabal, that an Igbo man will never become the president of Nigeria. And in that dogma, they cited, the issue of a civil war and so on and so forth. But that is not just it. That is not just it. Let me tell you, so many people can become president and this conquering of Nigeria will continue. But there are some people who they see that this person might not honor our agreement. If he becomes president, he might challenge the status quo. They will never allow such a person to become president. Nigeria have a problem. Our problem is not political regime change. Nigeria have a problem of Islamization. If I say this thing always, some persons will come, they will say, oh, Kocha, I am a Muslim. It is Fulanization. It is not Islamization. I said, can you define Fulanization and Islamization? Can you differentiate these two things? Because I am not a kind of person you come out to talk rubbish to. Now, I am not forming this thing on my own. If there is any terrorist group who are trying to destabilize a place, they have a purpose. They have a mission statement and they have their motto. These three things are synonymous. Now, Boko Haram, ISWAP, Mahmuda, Ndakurawa, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, this Fulani militia, Wundo, and there are 11 terrorist organizations operating in Nigeria. 11 terrorist operation, Islamic sect, who are operating in Nigeria. And all of them have one mission statement: to overthrow the government of Nigeria, to establish an Islamic state governed by Sharia law. This is their mission statement. So it don't come out to tell me that this is not Islamization, that is Fulanization. So what is going on in Mali right now is Fulanization. What is going on in Burkina Faso, Niger? It is Islamic State of West African Province. Is SWAP, Islamic State West African Province. It is an agenda to conquer this West African province under the tenets of Sharia. The earlier we realize this, the better for us. You see all these 4 years emotion, this what you call regime change is dangerous because it makes you not to think the real problem. Now we are thinking, oh, let us bring somebody there, let's go and vote. We don't need that. I'm telling you this, you will hate me, you might stop following me, and I want you to do that if you want to do it, okay? But what I'm trying to tell you is that we all will regret the actions you are taking today. We all will regret it. Time is going to come. Your villages, your mothers, your fathers, they will be raped, they will be chased out. Time will come, many people will cry hard, I know. The only thing I'm telling the people is to concentrate and carry arm. Go and join vigilante, join whatever you want to join and carry your arm. Just don't think illegality. I know why I'm telling you this, okay? Join vigilante group. At the end of your training, you will have your own gun. Now, you see, it's not everywhere that this thing will happen, that the villagers want to challenge the terrorists and the soldier just came and start shooting the people. If you understand what has been going on in the southeastern part of the country, you see, if it is in the southeast, all this nonsense is going on, the people will not agree. They will fight for themselves. I want you people to think, all this why they are telling you IPOP is doing the, Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. Just imagine now, look out. Every day, people are dying in Plateau. Every day. Terrorists are killing people every blessed day. Now, the villagers want to challenge the terrorists. The soldiers came and escort them out and come back and start firing the people. Perilous time is here. Yeah. Perilous time is here. Yeah. It's not tomorrow. It has come. You know what? 2027 election, I never wanted to tell you this. The people.
Yes, viewers, we have come to the end of this video. Please like this video, share it, drop your comments, let everybody hear you, and drop their own comments. I am still Chinedu. I say bye for now.